this month, this is May. We are missing Chris Chavez. He is dearly missed as always. We will hopefully for June, it will be all of us back in the room, or maybe I'll take June off. So
in our respective rooms.
In our respective rooms. This month our second criteria was picked by Jeff. What was it again?
Oh, I suggested picking a like weirdly specific genre, which I feel like I still kind of failed at my own pick, but I don't know that it's that specific, but I'll explain my reasoning behind it when we get there.
Yeah. I think mine was, I mean, I always fail at those things, right? So
no, yours was perfect.
Nah, well,
Michael's was even more perfect.
Yeah, I was definitely
super specific.
I was weirdly specific though, with like, or maybe super specific with like what the album actually was, but we'll get to that, right? We'll get to that.
Totally.
Yeah, so here we are. We're once again back in the saddle, as they say. I'm getting like worse at these things. You know what it is? I have to look at my phone for my notes now because my printer doesn't work with my MacBook anymore. Yeah. So all right. So we did this, and then like I said, Chris wasn't there, so we don't have any picks from Chris at all, right? Because he had bowed out prior.
Episode's gonna be far less poetic.
I will try my best to fill those shoes, Jeff, just for you. So all right, so how are we doing this? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first and just get mine out of the way.
All right, we'll go with Michael first. All right, and then the order will be Jeff, you and I can just talk over each other until whoever gets the first one, right?
What weapon am I gonna wield this month? Hold you up. A flame? No, we already did flamethrower. I think.
What was the one I did in the chat?
Javelin. A javelin.
Javelin. That's like a sport equipment, isn't it? That's a weapon.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's why it works so well with picking you because you don't know, and you're not a violent human being by any means.
Yeah. We hope.
Right. We hope.
Yeah, you hope.
All right, Michael. We're gonna start with yours. Hit us with the local.
So my local pick was some guys I know called the Old Breed here in Toledo, Ohio. This is not anything actually original. I think they do a very good job of bringing that like working class oi sound to our area. I don't have a whole lot to say. I just dig the album, and it is. Oh yeah, I guess I should say that these guys are like 100% DIY. This album has been out for like 3 years now, and they just got it pressed because they had to put all the money together themselves. They have no backing. So yeah.
And that shit costs money.
Midwest street punk.
Well, there's one thing I can always not guarantee, but like count on, right? When we do these, and Michael's actually here, and that's we're gonna get some blue collar working class punk, right? We're gonna get folk punk, and we're gonna get some hardcore, and that's.
I don't listen to much.
We got it this month.
Well, but yeah, we got it all this month, right? But like the thing is, like, you've never brought anything bad to the table with it, and it's always in 9 out of 10 times, it's always something new to me, so I enjoy it, So thank you again, because these guys are pretty good. I want to check out their other album. I don't have a whole lot to say other than because like you kind of nailed it. It's like that working class, like blue collar punk rock, not reinventing the wheel, but they're
not bending it either.
Right, not blending in or anything, right? They're pretty prominent. Yeah, they're doing it and they're prominent, and there's something to say to that, right? If you do something well, Yeah.
I thought I liked it because there's big similarities in it to kind of the Boston street punk sound, like for sure. Like it reminded me a little bit of like really, really early Dropkick stuff, and some of those other like Boston hardcore bands like DYS and like all those bands from like the late 80s. And it's got that similar Boston music's always had that similar working class vibe, that leans more into like the Celtic punk style, but like this has some similarities there for sure. And it's cool that you mentioned how like DIY they are, because I wrote down one of my notes was that it's very big, dense, full sounding like hardcore record. Like it was recorded and mixed really well. It doesn't sound like those like crappy hardcore demo tapes that like sound like they're in a garage, which like there's an aesthetic. Yeah, there's an aesthetic to that too. Like people like that, you know, that sound like what like you hear it playing in a dive bar, but this sounds like a very well recorded and mixed record, which I guess that sound doesn't always go hand in hand with the genre. So it's cool that they like put the effort into it and like make a really well polished professional sounding record on a DIY mentality and like a DIY budget and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I think that was all we had for them. What was weirdly specific genre was what you picked, Jeff, and mine is Grudgepacker, the band Grudgepacker.
What a
And
name.
I fucking love it.
Self-titled album. These guys are very openly gay hardcore band. So what would you say, Jeff? Queercore?
Queercore. Yeah,
Queercore.
absolutely.
And I love it. I like it because, like Trev said, I listen to a lot of hardcore. I don't know. You always get that almost, I don't want to say, there's an underlying vein of toxic masculinity at times in the hardcore scene. And these guys, so to see an openly gay band is a rarity, and these guys not only do it, but they do it really well, and they just have everything that makes a good hardcore band with coming with that message.
I was kind of confused at first. I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know if they were like making fun of gay people in the very, because like the name, I took the name at all, right? And then the first song, and then by the second song, I'm like, all right, I get what's going on here. You know what I mean? And
kind of tongue in cheek, like satirical.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought, like, I mean, there was very catchy, like hardcore riffs being played. You know, I didn't, I wrote gaycore, but yeah, same thing as queercore. So like, I grew up like queer was a bad word, so I don't tend to like use that one as much, even though it's you know, it's accepted now, as long as you're not saying, I mean, anything, so you don't say it in a derogatory manner, right? So like I but yeah, and then like the song The Fear and the song Anti-Pig Day were probably my favorite songs on the album. Anti-Pig Day, I'm pretty sure, is about Stonewall, right? The Stonewall riots. Yeah. And I thought it was really good. I dug it. And like, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed this one. I did.
I also wrote down that I was pleased with it also has a very dense, polished sound. Same thing, like coming from a sonic standpoint, great. It's a great, well recorded mixed record. But yeah, no, I love it. I myself have not I've not ever heard a band kind of like this before, and it was like definitely really enjoyable to kind of listen to like that classic hardcore sound, but with lyrics that step outside of like the usual, like you said, that can tend to be like super toxic masculinity like world of hardcore. I like that it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. I also like they use a lot of other gay slur words in their lyrics that have a rough history. And so I definitely I think they're sort of attempting to like reclaim that a little bit and be like, that's, you know, this is who we are. So we can say that word in a sense where we're sort of turning it back on, like pointing out that other people have used that word like hatefully. Yep. And so I think in that context, like I'm okay with that. Anti-Pig Day, definitely my favorite track off the record. Absolutely. I love that they framed Stonewall in that, and like the gay rights movement in that vein of it being like anti-cop, because truthfully, like the history between the gay community and law enforcement has been horrendously violent and tumultuous and awful. And it doesn't get talked about quite as much, you know? And I think like that song definitely like was a satisfying song to listen to. So yeah, no, I loved it. I actually also, I did not realize this, but Bandcamp at the bottom where they give you suggestions for other bands, like apparently there is actually quite a variety of queercore bands. There's like several of them, a few of them from the UK. There was another band from Dublin that popped up. The name of it off the top of my head, I clicked on that and listened to some of that as well, and it was like kind of similar vibes, so it was kind of cool. I did not know that was a thing, really. So apparently it's quite a thing. When
you guys say like the tongue-in-cheek lyrics, like it's purposely done, right? Right. Yes. It's meant to be that way. Yeah. And like, you know what it was almost like, and I'm not trying to cause rifts between, you know, two different genres of music, but like Christian like rock. Have you ever heard Christian rock? Like it's tongue in cheek, but it's not meant to be. Like they're trying to be serious about, you know what I'm saying? So I it was almost like they were taking a stab at that too, which is I'm okay with. I'm down.
You guys ever watch King of the Hill?
No.
Not in a long time.
There's a Christian rock episode where Hank Hill's like, y'all are making Christianity better. You're just making rock and roll worse.
That sounds about right.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I got that out of it too. I didn't write that in my notes, but I wanted to. Yeah, you guys nailed it. So
no, it's like they're taking it back.
Where are they from?
They are from LA.
They're from LA. Okay.
All my notes.
Yeah, I love the cover art on that. The cover art on that record too is hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it is now.
It's like an old timey wrestling.
A Tom of Finland drawing. So they're like, Tom of Finland was like a queer art, like a gay artist that like drew these like really over dramatic like leathermen and stuff like that. And they were all like bikers and cops and cowboys and like all these like hyper masculine stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
So the cover art of this record is like a devil, like a guy in a devil mask, like choking out a Tom of Finland, like leather daddy guy.
Yeah.
So it's like super funny.
Yeah, I just brought it up. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Oh man. All right. Well, Michael, your X Factor.
My X Factor, like Trev said, I always bring 3 genres to the table. Is folk punk from Texas, Fire Ant Season, Bad Habits. And this is just another, and it's brand new. This genre has been getting better and better, I think, as these last couple of years of everybody. I don't know if maybe it's just the way I'm putting it together in my head, but everybody like being stuck in, we only had so much we could do musically. People weren't getting together in studios. So like, it seems like a lot of people just took 2 acoustic instruments in their garages. And this is an album all about bad habits and the way they affect our lives. I really dug it.
Are you familiar with them prior?
I am not. No,
okay.
I saw the cover art, and this was one of those ones that I just kind of picked based on the cover art. I was like, let me hear it, and I really dug the album.
All right, cool. So the reason why I asked that is when I first listened to, so I started listening to this when I was at work. So I can only have one earphone in, and like, I'm looking around like I'm doing stuff for work. So I was half paying attention to it. And at first I'm like, is this like just like a fucking Bo Burnham album? Like his cadence is similar to Bo Burnham, and so like this morning I sat down and I really listened to it. And this might have been my favorite one out of all of them, or close to it, out of all the picks. It works, right? So that cadence works, and it's almost like a show tune kind of cadence. Does that like, remember like the old 20 show tunes? Like, I don't know if you guys ever watched like those, like any kind of period piece, like movie or shows, but like just like the kind of, it's almost so they do them and like they're almost like comedic, right? They're almost comedic, like, but this is far from comedic. Like this guy's music is far from comedic, and I really dug it in the just his, it's very nervous. He's very nervous as he's singing it, and I think that adds to the vulnerability of what he's putting out there. I think it's incredible. It actually kind of made me sad on how much, like, it made me sad to hear like how vulnerable he made himself and how nervous he seemed, and the content was so like relatable to me. Like I kind of got sad for that too. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I think I'm gonna reach out and try to get whoever this is on the podcast, because I think there's I think it would be a great story to listen to and people be able to relate to it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought there were some similarities to Pigeon Pit, which I love, and like I'm so glad that you brought that to the table in a previous episode, because that was it's become a band I'm a huge fan of now. I will admit, I feel like, so usually I'm not as huge of a fan of the really like literal existential type lyrics that aren't poetic at all, that are like very blatantly like I did this and then I did this and this is how I feel about this, and like kind of, so I think that like I think that is cool sometimes when it's like, in this particular case, he does it like kind of cleverly. Like there's a lot of like little clever hooks that he like weaves in there, like with the lyrics and stuff like that I actually did like a lot. I feel like I enjoy it in smaller doses. Like it isn't my favorite style of lyric writing, but musically, like that folk punk sound is definitely like one of my favorites, and he nails that like pretty well. So I definitely liked the record overall. Band that I used to listen to in high school that was like locally from this area, kind of, called Morris, and there are some similarities on this record to that, like the sound of like the way he sings and screams and stuff like that at different parts, that kind of reminded me of that record. So I thought that was kind of cool.
So my first pick, my local pick, is out of Boston. I picked Paper Tigers, Schism, Cataclysm. I had to really look at that when I said it. So funny story. When I first was like, when I thought Paper Tigers and Sky Tigers were the same band for like not too long ago. Not because I think they sound the same, but there's just a lot of tigers in Boston. We have them. We have Tiger Man. Whoa, So I was confused, and I was like, well, this doesn't sound like them. And then I figured out that they're not. They're two different bands. I dig this one. It's got like their music, or this EP anyway, that reminds me of music that belongs in movies, if that makes any sense. Like a dark action film. Like the first song on the EP, it could have went in the movie The Crow. Like it just would have fit perfect in that movie for some, I don't know why, but that's just how I feel about them. They kind of remind me a little bit of like the Subways, like their sound. And it's a solid like rock alternative band, and this EP is great. I think I'm looking forward to more. And I will not be seeing them tonight because I'll be going to the Michael Caine show, and they're both playing in Worcester. I was a fan. I was a fan of this, and I brought it to the table to see what you guys thought.
My thoughts on this were just like really well produced, almost on the verge of being overly produced. Right there, like you said, it feels like it would fit really well in like an action movie. Something they had that theatrical level of production and alt rock that makes it sound like, I mean, this is something that, again, I think we always get one of these, something that I listen to it and I'm like, why is this not playing on the radio? I don't like to use the word approachable, but I feel like it's accurate. It's music that has a bit more mass appeal than some of the other stuff we talk about, and that's not a bad thing at all. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think these guys could be really big, honest. Like, I think they have everything there.
This comes into play with my local pick too. Is lately I have noticed that like my experience with like most local artists from the area like generally tends to orbit in that punk world and that like alt punk, folk punk, whatever, like pop punk kind of world. And I'm really it's really refreshing lately to hear like different style bands from Boston that I have not been familiar with. So like when you brought Carissa Johnson to the table, when you brought a couple of different artists over the past few months, it's been like really nice. And this band has like, it's like kind of like a spacey rock. It's like space rock droning kind of vibes to it. And it reminds me of a band. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a band that was kind of popular on the radio and had some like moderate commercial success about 10 years ago called Middle Class Rut. And this band, if you listen to Middle Class Rut, this band reminds me of them a lot. Nice. But I like it a lot. I like the kind of throwback to like 90s alt rock vibes in there. And I agree. It's got like really big kind of shiny sound to it, like very like pop radio friendly and like theatrical sound to it too. I think their vocal lines and their harmonies are kind of unique. Like the melodies that they use or whatever, like there's like kind of a minor weird, I don't even know how to describe it because I'm not that well versed in music theory, but I always like can pick out when I just hear like a cool melody that doesn't sound like a normal pop chord progression kind of thing. And so I thought it was really, really cool. I would love to see them play live.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they're a local band and that hopefully I'll have a chance to.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely make a active effort to find to catch out a show from them. So, well, I'm glad you guys liked it. I really do. I always get worried. I don't know if you guys listened to last month's, but I was like, I told Chris, I'm like, I had this weird dream that Jeff and Michael bailed on the episode because they didn't like my picks.
No, that wasn't it at all.
I thought you guys were. I figured you guys are gonna hate me after my middle pick this week, though. So
I fucking love your middle pick.
I loved all your picks. I don't even remember which one the middle one was. So, all right, so we'll get to my weirdly specific one. Right, out of New York, there's a DJ Massive B who makes like compilations, right? Like DJ compilations, and this one is called Answer Meets Dundem. It's a dance hall reggae compilation. It's kind of old. This is like 2011. But so what happened was when the weirdly specific thing, I was just having a hard time with it. And I was like, hey, let's see if one of my favorite dance hall artists, Danny English, I'm like, let's see if he's got like anything like an EP or something that's on Bandcamp. And it was just songs that were in compilations. And I happened to pick this one up. And this is like a dance hall compilation through and through. It is like, so what makes it weirdly specific is every song is the same beat, but they're different songs, right? They're different songs from different artists. And the lineup on this, if you guys are well versed in dance hall music, like it is a fucking killer lineup. You have Anthony B, Nicodemus, Elephant Man, Bounty Killer, Wayne Wonder, and then, Danny English is on here, and there's a bunch of other artists, right? I don't know. High school, like dance hall reggae was my shit, which is hilarious,
I remember Wayne Wonder had some radio hits and stuff like that.
Yeah, Wayne Wonder, because I think Beanie Man brought him on to the radio, like because Beanie Man had some hits on there. I think he might even did a song with like Shaggy. So like, yeah, like I love dancehall reggae. Like my first show, I saw Anthony B in Capleton. Like, so that was like my first show ever was a dancehall reggae show. So, and the thing about dancehall is like, it's like subgenre out to like kind of like Bounty Killer is like the gangster rap of dancehall music. Right. So that would be, and like Anthony B is a little more traditional dancehall. Wayne Wonder is more like love music kind of dancehall. Like it's cool. And they put it all together. That's why I like the same beat. Right. When I first started listening to dancehall and I would find these comps and I was like, I don't really, I want to hear different beats. But like the beauty of it is an artist taking one of these beats and making it their own song. Right. And again, like I looked up Danny English. This one came across and I was like, yeah, this is the one I'm going to pick. You can draw similarities between like ska punk and like dance hall music. Like there's the horn section for sure. Like, and I've always, I guess I've always been a lover of different sounds in music. And that's why I got into dropkick Dropkick Murphys when I was younger, and because of all the different instruments they would bring to the song. So I have an enormous dancehall reggae record collection. It's in the closet though, because there's like 607. I have like 607 inches of all dancehalls. They're all singles. So I am a huge fan of the music, and I've never brought it to the table, so I figured I would, and I got as weirdly specific as you could by making it the same beat throughout the entire thing. There's my speech.
This goes back to our earlier discussion about just enjoying music, because I don't understand anything Trev just said, but this was the album that I listened to the longest of everything that was brought to the table. I was out here in my garage jamming out for hours last night. Like it sounded like there was a dance hall in my garage. I don't understand this music, and I feel like a lot of times I don't even understand what they're saying, but there's something infectious to that beat that I just couldn't stop.
Yeah, for better or worse, this music makes everyone want to dance, you know? For
Right,
better,
and
better or worse. For worse,
Be like in Jamaica on a beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was super good. I was glad. This one I'm gonna buy for sure because I want to keep it around, and I'm able to, because I'm not familiar with the genre. Besides hearing it, like I don't sit there and try and pick it apart either. So it allows me to get out of my head and just kind of enjoy the art that's being created in front of me.
Yeah, I dancehall is a genre I would love to explore more. I also do not have a lot of experience with it. I don't know a lot about it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trev, but it's sort of like the national music of Jamaica, right? Like that's where it sort of hails from, correct?
Yeah. So and like I said, it's so like
it's sort of evolved out of like reggae and
right, rock steady and
other styles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have always struggled, I'll admit, like a little bit with that same beat thing, like especially with dancehall, but also with like reggaeton, like actual reggaeton music. Like one song is fun, but then like sometimes that same repetitive beat over and over again, like that I do struggle with that a little bit sometimes. But what I think is cool, like the coolest thing about dancehall music is that like the whole entire genre and culture that goes along with it almost also has like its sort of own language too. Like there are like entire words and phrases and things like that, like in that style of
the
speaking.
patois.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That I just think is like really cool and really unique about like the genre, and it's super fun to listen to. And like, yeah, like I said, it made me just want to be like somewhere where it's warm and where I'm not worried about any of like the miserable parts of New England, especially in the spring. But
I was so pumped, like when I was like, yeah, guys, you don't have to listen to the whole thing. You know,
no, I listened to the whole thing,
and you were like, why wouldn't I? Like, I really liked it. I'm like, really? So yeah, it made me happy that I brought something completely out of left field from the norm, and it was in the reception. You guys received it well. So, yeah.
I also had a tooth pulled on Tuesday, and I've been on antibiotics all week and feeling like shit. And he has another record on that Bandcamp page called Penicillin Rhythm that I really want to listen to. I was like, that's my vibes.
I might have to listen to that too. That sounds like that's awesome. That's awesome.
Those are my vibes right now. So I definitely want to dive into that a little bit more.
Oh man. Yeah. And I don't know if it's like, cause like I grew up in a coastal town. Cause like a lot of kids, even like there's a lot of people I went to school with and they all listened to dance hall stuff. And I didn't know this at the time. Cause like there was like me and my friends did, but like, you know, everyone else was always talking about like mainstream stuff and I listened to all that too. And I would talk about it as well. But and then you start seeing like you graduate high school and like you start seeing people that you would never think at these reggae shows. It was pretty cool. You know, it's like a weird, unspeakable bond between everyone where I was, you know?
So. Yeah.
Does the beat stay the same so you don't have to change the dance?
I don't know. I really don't know what the logistics are behind it. Like I said, when I first started, I would get like, I want to hear different shit. Like I want to hear different. But then like after a while, like just understanding, like not understanding, but like kind of seeing it as like, you know, they make that beat their own with the way they do it. Like I have videos, DVDs of like reggae shows where a lot of them, like some of them, they're all playing. Like there was one, I think it was like right around Bob Marley's birthday, and all these dancehall artists had like one of his songs, like one of the beats to it, and so everyone performed at least one of the same beat, you know. So it's just cool. I don't know. I just have always kind of like gravitated to that, and again, it sounds so different and like the bells and the horns and everything else in it, you know. So
yeah, it was rad.
It's definitely like orchestrated quite densely if you listen to it. They do a really good job of bringing in different elements. So it is like pretty much the same beat, but they make the songs unique. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So all right. So my X factor is out of Buffalo, New York. I picked Buffalo, and Chris isn't here.
Chris's honor.
Yeah. Right.
This is Chris's local pick as well.
Pouring one out for Chris.
It's a folk punk band called the Cardboard Homestead. The album I picked is the Bronze Tapes, and I think they're demos. I think that one's a demo album. Everything I've heard from them, they've got like a full-length album, and they just put out a single this year. It's all really good. The Bronze Tapes sound a little different than the album. I think the Bronze Tapes kind of sounds more, you know how the old Edison had like there were semi like the collective kind of thing, like people coming to it. Like it has that element in the Bronze Tapes, and I guess I really enjoy that. If I could mix up two bands to see what these guys are kind of made of, is like Snuggle. Remember Snuggle? It's almost like the singer of that, and like the way his like kind of like manic singing, and then you bring in like the old Edison like kind of sound, and you put it together. And this is their baby, I guess, would be what this specific album is. Like I said, I like all their stuff. Their storytelling is different than the two bands I just spoke of. And they also have like this like Southern, and this might be speaking more of like their other like the newest single. It has like a Southern like groovy sound. Like, you remember like the Southern groove rock? They've got a tinge of that in like their studio stuff, like that stuff that's not the Bronze Tapes. So
nice.
Yeah, I obviously really enjoyed this one because I like that folk punk sound. He reminded me a lot of almost a slightly calmer Jesse from Escape from the Zoo and Days and Days. Like his singing style. I don't know. Maybe that's just me though. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I didn't take notes this week.
no, that's fine. That's fine.
I liked it as well a lot. They definitely remind me of the old Edison a lot. The first thing I wrote down was like kind of Mischief Brew meets Get Dead. That was like the two mixtures that I was kind of thinking of. But if these are demos, they sound pretty damn good for being demos.
I think it was. I maybe I'm wrong,
but maybe I should listen to the rest of. I should probably listen to the rest of them as well, like the rest of their stuff on there as well. If the other stuff sounds different, because
yeah. So
I only listen to this. So
the new single is called "For Far Too Long." It's fucking awesome, and that's again. I'm gonna recommend that. Like, in their first album was good. You can hear each one kind of get a little more polished, you know, and it might not.
Yeah.
The Bronze Tapes might not even be a demo. It might just have that feel, you know. I kind of felt like it was because it sounded like more, like I said, more of like a collective than it did like of an actual band in a studio, you know. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? Okay, all right, cool. Because like sometimes I just don't. It makes sense to me in my head, but I'm gonna look up right now though. If that was I thought it was. I could be wrong, and I apologize to Cardboard Homestead if I am wrong. Let's see. The Bronze Tapes.
I was just playing it again, and yeah, I really like the vocals were like what stuck out to me. He has that like gritty, raspy, almost yelling over an acoustic guitar, which I dig a lot.
So the lead singer of Snuggle or Snuggle, you know, he had an acoustic project called Pipsqueak, and it kind of reminded like his singing, the way he sang, and I mean it's very similar to the full band, but it reminded me of that as well. Yeah, so this is the Bronze Tape is an acoustic demo of 5 songs featuring Ian and Josiah. We will be releasing a full-length album in the near future. So yeah, so this is demos. I didn't get that wrong. So I liked it. I did. I liked it. It had, and again, sometimes it has that like
It reminded me of big like really early Against Me vibes too.
Yes.
Like if you guys listen to like the Crime EP and
Yes.
like their first couple of EPs that they put out, like those really early ones, spot on.
Yeah,
That
I
same
agree.
screaming over the acoustic guitar, but like I said, it sounded really good for demos. I mean,
There's something about hearing music like this, and it has that collective vibe to it. A friend of mine just sent, like, she had posted a video up. She was down in Alabama visiting family. I don't know if she's ever met him before or whatever, but they're musicians. She's a musician. They're musicians as well. And they're on the back porch with a guitar and a fucking fiddle, and they're singing. And I was like, oh, like it was one of the coolest things I ever watched. Like I just like that vibe of things, right? It just makes things. I just think there's a it's just very genuine, you know. So
you gotta make sure you put all the porch fests on your calendar. There's like JP does a porch fest, Somerville does a porch fest.
Really?
Like I don't know if they do one in Alston or Brighton too, but there's like a bunch of porch fests in Boston all the time, like throughout this going forward into this time of year. So
Jesus
you should
Christ.
check those out.
I should.
Because it's all just like people performing on their porches.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What?
I'll look. There's Facebook groups. I'll send them to you.
Yeah, please do. Yes. All right, Jeff, your picks. Let's get to yours.
Oh yeah.
Because I loved every one of your picks.
Yeah. So my local pick was a holdover from last time when we picked the album art cover. That's how I first discovered this band, and I like put them on the back burner until this episode. But they're a band called Watts that is a local band from here in Boston that I had never heard of before. This record is not the record that I had originally liked the album art. They had a different record on there that like had a evil clown looking guy on it that was like I was going to choose. That's a great record too, but I chose
I think I listened to that one.
Yeah, this is their newest release. So I went with this one, Shady Rock and Rollers. It's just like a cool like classic rock. Again, it's been refreshing lately to find bands from Boston that are outside of just sort of like the punk world, because that's like the world that I'm steeped in all the time. So I was just kind of pleased to like listen to like just a different band. I kept thinking that they would be a great bill matchup with Cruel Miracle, who I had on my podcast. That's like this like just sort of like heavy rock and roll band that there were similar sounds. And so yeah, it was cool. Like Salem Wolves, Devil's Twins, like there's a handful of these like sort of like more just heavy rock and roll bands like seem to be more from like the North Shore area, but it just I haven't dove too deeply into their catalog beyond this record, but I just thought it was cool. I just thought they had a great sound, and it's a really well recorded record, and just classic rock and roll vibes.
For sure. It had like a gritty 70s hard rock sound, right? Like Thin Lizzy, Molly Hatchet, Nazareth, like those kind of things. And then it was funny because like around what track was it? The song Shady. I think it's like halfway through the album. For like 3 songs, they turn into like this 80s love ballads band. And then they come back out, like they finish off with that hard rock again. It was like I wish I wrote down all the names of the songs, but like the 80s love ballad songs, like they had the most outrageous names that you would think would be like the hardest songs on the album, but they end up being like these like love song kind of things. I dug them. I like I said, I went on and I listened to more of them. I'm into it. I love classic rock became classic rock when like we were kids. Like it was just rock and roll, right? It was just
people
Americana.
just started calling it classic, right? Because it was older people that like...
yeah. So like to have like I think there's something when we find bands like this, whether it's this way or through our respected podcasts or whatever, like it's cool to show people who only listen to classic rock and listen to the same Foreigner songs and the same Loverboy songs. Like, it's cool to show them, hey, that music's still here. Like, you can still listen to new bands who sound who have that sound that you love so much. It's not something
not
that
all like indie rock or
right.
like
It didn't
pop.
die. It didn't die out. You know what I mean? And I think that goes for any music genre, really. Like, to be able to find songs that were like, no, man, this shit didn't die. It's still around. You just have to look for it. You just gotta, and we have so much accessibility to find them now. Take a chance. Like, and I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm so sorry, but it's like, I understand what comfort music's all about, but you can find stuff that sounds like your comfort music and it's new, and
yeah,
it's
for sure.
It's just as fucking good. Just because they didn't sell 1 million copies and they weren't around in the 70s doesn't mean anything. So let me get off my soapbox.
Your soapbox was exactly what I was gonna say. Like, this band sounds like the shit my dad and uncles were listening to when I was a kid. But just refreshed, not like a carbon copy, because nobody wants that. They put their own spin on it. It's that heavy rock and roll sound. That song "Breaking the Glass," I thought I was listening to a ZZ Top song at the beginning, like just that guitar, and then they take it and make it something new. Like, so exactly what you said. If you like classic rock and you're not into punk and you're not into hardcore, there are still people out there making new music that sounds like what you want to listen to. It just, they have a different name. I mean, give them a chance.
Right on.
Yeah, totally. I'm not sure how long they've been around as a band. I didn't really look to see what their earliest release was, but
I think
the
it was
whole album super
years.
tight.
I'm always just chuffed to find like new or artists that are from here that I've not heard of before, which is just fun. Yeah. So my second pick. Okay, so for weirdly specific, I went with April Smith and the Great Picture Show, which is, I love the name of the record is Songs for a Sinking Ship, which is the first thing I like about it. But I didn't know what to call this as a genre. I said something like vaudevillian revenge or like cynical. I want to call it like cynical, like mean cabaret or something like that. But
yeah.
I love that she has all these like jazzy, like swing cabaret tunes, but the lyrics are like all like mean and angry and like cynical for the most part. There's a couple of love ballads on there, but they're all pretty much like kind of just like pissed off, like kind of crass. The song Drop Dead Gorgeous is like hands down my favorite song on this record. It's been my favorite song for several years. The record came out in 2010. Unfortunately, I don't think she's still around. She's not there. There's still an active Bandcamp page. You can still buy the record and,
well, I mean, she's still alive.
Support her. Yeah.
That's what I was worried about.
I don't think she's making music anymore for whatever reason. She hasn't put out anything since 2010 that I can find. So
yeah, I found her on Instagram, which sounds really creepy, and I didn't mean it that way, but
I would love to meet her because I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
She I've said this a few times to people, but like I pretty much love sad songs and I write sad songs, and I feel like I orbit in this world of like sad songs always, sad songs forever. But it's like, if there's one thing I love more than a really good sad song, it's like a really mean fucking angry song. Because I think it's like the healthiest outlet of emotion. And so this record nails that for me. I want to cover that song Drop Dead Gorgeous somehow, like figure out a way to do it acoustic and not butcher it somehow, because it's like a jazz tune, so it's like kind of hard. But yeah, no, I've always loved this record because of that. It's just got this tongue-in-cheek, like kind of cynical, sarcastic, mean feel throughout the whole thing, paired with this like really jazzy swing, like classic music. So
all right, so
it's a good time.
She is still around. I think she's a songwriter.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she's just writing songs.
She has a podcast. She has a podcast about like haunted stuff.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, I found
awesome.
I found her everywhere, dude. I found her on Twitter.
yeah.
I found her on Instagram. Hold on,
That's awesome.
we're gonna check out her website real quick.
Get her on the podcast.
I think well, that's why I like looked for her, because I was like, I need to talk to her about this album. If anything, like we can talk about whatever she wants, but yeah, so she's still, so aprilsmithmusic.com is where you can find all her stuff, Jeff. So not all her stuff, but like her, you can find her and what she's doing,
other stuff she's done. Yeah, cool.
I found there is a fucking vinyl of this album.
Hell yeah.
I am going to pay, I don't care how much for it.
It's not on her Bandcamp though,
right?
So you gotta send that to me.
Yeah. So I was in for this, man. I was totally down with it. I called it swing pop. And again, it had that like almost like musical, like cabaret is
theatrical.
Perfect. Yeah, is perfect for it. There was a little bit kind of reminded me of like Bridge City Sinners in a way. Maybe it was that
but like shinier, like less spooky and more like overt.
Yeah, for sure. And the Drop Dead Gorgeous was by far the whole album was great, but that one was definitely good. So I had to, like, because it was this morning, I'm like, because before we started I was going through all the music again, and when this one came back on, I'm like, yeah, I gotta find her, I gotta find this, I gotta find why there isn't more. So so far we've had two from this month, and I'm gonna reach out to and be like, hey, this is what I do and love to have you on. And so she's a podcaster. Awesome. She's a podcaster, so she might get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
I have all these in a playlist, and one day at work,
prior to this, you already
no. Once everybody puts them together, I put them in a playlist. That way I can just hit shuffle and like see what hits me. And this girl's voice like made my ears like just stand up as soon as her first song came on. I like trying to nail it down to a genre. I was thinking like speakeasy music, a little dirty jazz club, smoke everywhere. Like she really evoked the like the visions of flapper girls and cigarette, I don't know.
Like 1920s, like
like sure. 20s. She's not on the boardwalk. She's at that place that's off the boardwalk and a little dangerous. And I really like that. So yeah, great pick.
Yeah, funny. The first time I heard her, the way that I first heard her was like, this record came out in 2010. So around then, she heard the song Colors on that record was in a Valspar paint commercial. And I was like, oh, that's a cool song. I forget. I think I wanted to use it for something. I think there was like a video I was working, like I was like, that song would be cool. And I searched it, and it was like maybe a year or two after the record had come out, and I searched it. So she got some commercial success with that song. I don't know where else, it sounds like. I would not be surprised at all if she was a songwriter full time, like for other folks, because she's just so talented. And I mean, it's a shame because, like you said, her voice is amazing. Like I would love to hear more from her.
Me too.
As an artist, but
and I don't know, like when I think of someone, when they're like, I'm a singer songwriter, that's what I think of, is like her like, you know what I mean, like that. That's like, it's because again, like it's kind of poppy in a way, it's kind of popish, but it's also kind of like deep and vulnerable, and it's got all these different things just wrapped up into it. So yeah, in a non-creepy way, I looked for her today and found her, and yeah.
Trev was cyber stalking in the non-creepiest way.
episode of been a couple months struggling with April Smith.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I made sure I used all the podcasts, like social medias to follow. So it's like, who's this guy that just started following me?
She's gonna see this episode and be like, who are these 3 random dudes that are talking about my record from 10 years ago that are just like totally fanboying out about it?
It's good though. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Where were you assholes 10 years ago when I was trying to sell this thing?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was broke.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So my last pick, my X Factor pick, was bringing it back to the doom folk, which we all fucking love so much. But it's the band Huntress, the Huntress and Holder of Hands, which I fucking love this band. They're so good. Morgan Eve Swain is incredible. She previously was in a band called Brown Bird, Rhode Island, a Providence-based band that had some pretty significant success, and a pretty big fan base. It was her and her husband. They were in a band together, and he really tragically passed away from leukemia, I believe, in 2014-ish or somewhere around there. And so she has sort of carried on some of the Brown Bird stuff. She's like released some things posthumously that they released. I think they released a record after he had passed away, and then she just recently put out a live album that had been recorded from a while back. But her new project is the Huntress and Holder of Hands, which is collaboration with a few other Providence-based artists. And I think Morgan Eve is the primary songwriter. My like original connection to like finding her and her music, her brother Spencer used to play in a band called Zox, which was also a Rhode Island-based band, kind of like a ska punk band that played at my high school twice when I was in high school. And so I was always a big fan of theirs, and I was always like following them on social media and stuff like that. And then that's how I found like her stuff. But I love this record. It's dark, heavy doom folk. It's got strings galore all over the place. She plays the fiddle, and she also plays guitar, and she sings. And then I don't know exactly what the instrumentation is on the record, but they just played at the venue where I work a couple of weeks ago, and that was the second time that they've played there. So we've actually had them play there twice, which has been a pleasure both times. Super fun to work their shows. But they have a cello and a string bass, upright bass, and then also an electric bass and a drummer. So it's just like this real dense, like incredible sound. I love it. It just it does have like theatrical vibes to me too. I feel like it could be like the soundtrack to like a horror film,
like a score, right?
Or like a really good thriller.
Yeah.
Really good psychological thriller. She's got some like socio-political lyrics in there too, if you listen closely enough. Like her, it wasn't on this record, but their newest release is a track called Doctrine, that is definitely like very, current events related and political, religious kind of, critique. So I just dig this band all over the place, left and right. They're just such a great band. Love their stuff.
I enjoyed it. I didn't have much for notes, but I wrote psychedelic Western doom. That's what I wrote. And the harmonizing with the vocals is phenomenal. I was totally into it. What was weird is like when I first, so I checked it out on Spotify first, right? And when I put it on, it played like 2 songs, and then it went to something else, and I'm like, whoa, what is that? That's different than what I just heard. And then I heard another song, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like them at all. And then so like it like randomized it or something and brought in other bands.
To a different artist. Oh.
Yeah. So I went to I went back to Bandcamp and listened to the whole thing there first, so to make sure I had the right album. I dug it. Yeah, I was into it. I like the artwork on it as well. So and now that I know that they're local, I like it even more. So
Providence, yep.
Mm-hmm. Michael.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh my god, I was spaced out. I actually have this playing because I didn't get to listen to it quite enough. But yeah, I love the strings. I love the sound of a cello. One of my favorite pop punk bands heavily features a cello. So I don't know. I just dig that sound. The sound of like the bow being drawn across, and this is produced really well. So you get the full effect. I haven't gotten to dig into the lyrics or anything, but I'm definitely gonna listen to this one a bunch more.
Their best track on that record is, in my opinion, is Shake Off Your Flesh. It just builds and it builds and it builds and it just like fucking rocks out at the end. Like I love that they take, like, they actually wrote on their stage plot that they advanced, at the bottom they had like unsolicited mixing notes, and they were like, we're heavier than we look, or at least we like to think so. So it was like, please help us out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think people like see them come in with like a fiddle and a cello, and they're like, oh, it's like this like orchestral string, but like, you know, but they're heavy as fuck. And
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
just awesome. They kill it. And they just, her songwriting is really cool. It's really unique, and it's just a pleasure to listen to it.
I'm gonna check out the other project too. Brown Bird, you said?
Brown Bird, yeah, that was
That sounds familiar. I wonder if I've listened to them before.
I think that Brown Bird had a similar sound. I haven't really dove into that catalog too much, but it did have sort of a similar dark folk kind of sound to it, and they had a pretty big like diehard fan base. There was like a little documentary about a restaurant owner out in like Michigan or somewhere actually named their restaurant after, I think, one of Brown Bird's songs, and flew Morgan Eve out there to like dedicate the restaurant and like open the restaurant and stuff like that in memory of her husband and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
They had a really like diehard, really invested fan base. And so hopefully that continues with this project, because it's awesome. They aren't playing a lot of shows right now. They're kind of, they told me they were kind of still getting back into this, comfortable with things post COVID and playing shows and touring, like what touring is going to look like and stuff again. Morgan Eve also plays with the Devil Makes Three occasionally,
that sounds
which is really cool. Like Devil Makes Three is like a huge, pretty huge gritty bluegrass style band that,
okay.
And so she plays fiddle with them and tours with them sometimes too. So yeah, super talented artist all around.
Cool. Well, that went faster than normal because we don't have Chris with us. So
True.
Yeah, I miss Chris. Anyway, that was a great episode. I loved everyone's picks, and like I said, Jeff, every one of yours, I just like, yes, I mean, I liked all Michael's too, but you brought all this like weird shit to the table, and
I got weird this month.
you did.
Yeah,
you did, and that's okay. I'm here for it. I'm always here for that. So, yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this month. Let's. Where can people find you guys?
YouTube, Punk as Folk. And if you like videos about music, watch this one, because fucking nobody ever watches this.
You can find my podcast, Dirty Decibels, anchor.fm/Dirty Decibels or dirtydecibelscast.com. And it's also at DirtyDBcast on Instagram.
Cool.
Hopefully it's coming back with some new episodes soon. Things are in the works.
I can't wait. I love hearing that, Jeff. I love hearing that. I am Trev, the Struggling Artist. You can find me on the Struggling Artist podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, it's a pleasure with doing these with you guys. Offline, we're going to talk about some stuff, and maybe we can next month, maybe we can announce some stuff. So we'll see.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, it's not mine, it's yours too. This is all yours as well. So, thank you for having me on your Bandcamp Friday episode.